Okay, hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar training today, our agent update. Today we have Sylvia Lee from New South Wales Government School and myself, Margareta from Yes Education. So we will update you about the entry requirement, the program offer, and then about the accommodation and the application process for New South Wales Government School. So we will do the recording of this training session and then we will upload in our YouTube channel afterwards. So if you need a reminder or maybe some of your partners cannot join today, they can refer to the recording. And so we will do the presentation and then afterward we will do the Q&A session. If during the presentation you have any question, please do not hesitate to submit your question in the Q&A box and we will address them after the presentation. Okay, without further ado, the floor is yours, Sylvia.
Hi, hello everyone. Thanks for your time today. And I am Sylvia. I'm from New South Wales Government Schools. As you may aware that all the government schools in Australia are managed by the state government. So for us, we do not only represent one school, but we're representing all the government schools in New South Wales. So before we start today, I'm going to share you a video about our school life, and also some atmosphere and also the living style in Sydney, so you can have a better idea about how is it like studying and living in Sydney. Okay, everyone see my screen of the YouTube?
Yep.
Okay.
Studying at a New South Wales government school will be the best experience of your life. You can experience
Sylvia, you're still on mute.
Thank you.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome to this meeting on the Natural Environment Bill and Planning Bill. We're just going to wait for a couple more minutes because it's just before 6 p.m. For anyone else to come in and join us. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Did you hear? Hi, you're on mute.
I think there's some notification from your side earlier.
Notification from my side? Oh, yeah. I think that. Okay, that is the YouTube. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the YouTube because it's keep playing. So that's
Good.
fine. I already closed that one. So that's fine. So that was the generic introduction video about our schools and our school life. So I hope you have already got a quite good idea about it. So now I'm going to start my training slides. I will talk about the unique features about us. I'm going to talk about the subjects that we teach at the school and also the student support, entry requirement. And if you would like to know anything more, please leave a message at the Q&A session box so we can go through all the questions that you may have. So I'm now sharing my screen. Okay. All right. So firstly, welcome to Sydney. As you know that we represent all the government schools in New South Wales, but most of our schools which accept international students will be in Greater Sydney regions. And we have more than 2,200 government schools across New South Wales, and we have around 100 of them can accept international students. We are the largest school sector in Australia, and there are some reasons why you would choose to study in the New South Wales government schools. Firstly, we are very excellent in academic performance, and also we provide additional language support for international students while they're studying with us. And we provide a variety of the academic pathways. If the student would like to go to vocational or would like to go to the universities, we have different pathways. And also we have the global opportunities for students to learn more about multicultural, and also they have the opportunity to go and study tour in some other countries. And I would like to introduce a little bit about the education system in Australia. In Australia and in New South Wales, we have primary school, which provides education from kindergarten to year 6. And after the primary school, we have the high school, provide the study from year 7 to year 12. And we call the year 7 to 10 junior secondary school. And we call year 11 to year 12 senior secondary school. And the student need to complete the full 2-year program in year 11, year 12, which is we call HSC, High School Certificate. If the student can complete that certificate within 2 years, completing all the credits, then they will be able to graduate from the high school. And also they will receive a final score about their HSC, and then they can apply for the university using that score. Okay, so this is the education system that we have in New South Wales. And the school year in Australia might be different from the one in Indonesia. We start the school year from January and we finish the school year in December. We have 4 terms in between. Term 1 is from January, and term 2 is from April, term 3 July, term 4 October. For each term, there will be around 10 weeks of teaching, followed by a 2-week school break. For Christmas, there will be a 5-week break, and all the students will come back at the end of January for the next year and then start the new school year. So, and for all the international students, they're free to apply for any term. They can start from term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4, based on their family plan and their study plan. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is year 11 and year 12. Because it's a full program, so students cannot jump into year 12. All the students need to start from year 11. And we really recommend them to start from the term 1. Otherwise, it could be very challenging for students to catch up with the study. Besides of year 11, year 12, students can jump in any term in any school year. And here is a typical school day. We start the school day from 8:45. We finish by 3. We have 2 breaks in between, one for recess, one for lunch, and we have 5 to 8 study period every day. And for each week, we will have one afternoon for the sports. Usually it will be the Wednesday afternoon, and students free to choose any sports they would like to do. And also we have the homework center in each school. The school library usually open from 7:30 to 5 p.m. So if the students think they need any support for their homework, they can stay in the school library and there will be a teacher there to help them with their homework. Here is an example of the school calendar. As you can see, we have 4 terms, and the family can refer to this calendar to plan for the holiday and the time the student go back. And as you can see at the slide, we can accept students from term 1 to term 4 in any year, but for year 11, they must enroll from term 1 or in very rare scenarios, the beginning of term 2, and no jumping into year 12. Okay, so that is the general information about us. And then I will introduce you some unique features that only New South Wales Government Schools have. The first one is single gender education and co-educational schools. In other states, only private schools have the single gender education. All the government schools are co-educational. But in New South Wales, that is different. We have some very good boys' schools or girls' schools among New South Wales. For example, Homebush Boys, Burwood Girls, Riverside Girls High Schools, they're really good schools that provide single gender education. And the second feature is that for some schools, we have separate junior campus and senior campus. So students study in junior campus for year 7 to 10, and then they transfer to the senior campus for year 11, year 12. 2 campuses are usually very close to each other, maybe just cross the road, but they're sharing the different campus. The advantage by doing that is in Australia, there's no entrance exam for the high school or senior high school. So the time in year 7 to 10 is more for students to explore their interest, and it's not very academic focused. However, when they're turning into year 11, year 12, they need to focus more on the academic. So if the students are studying in different campus, it will give them more academic atmosphere, and also all the teachers in the senior campus, they teach HSC every year. So they are more familiar with the HSC, with the exams, and all the students, they're more mature, they focus on their study, and there are more independent study learning area and spaces in the senior campus. So if you have any students, they're coming to study only the HSC year 11, year 12, I think it would be a good option for them because it will give them the most opportunities to choose the subject and also focus on the exams. And the last feature is about the specialized schools. We have specialized schools in languages, sports, and performing arts. So if any students are talented in those areas, I strongly recommend them to apply for the specialized schools. Although the entry requirement is same for specialized schools or a comprehensive school, however, when the student enroll in the school, when they talk to the teacher and the principal, they can let the teachers know about their talents. And then the teacher will guide the student to take some kind of audition, or they will provide some additional support in the specialized area. So the student will have the opportunity to compete with other schools or to get into some national competitions and everything like that. They will have additional support in the specialized area. So that is the unique feature that we have. And then we're moving to the student support services. I know that as an international student family, the student support would be the most concerning part. In our education system, we have the year advisor to monitor the students' academic progress. We have the school counselor to help with the students' personal problems. We have the homework center, as I mentioned before, and also we have the international student coordinator in all the schools. So they were the first contact person for all the international students. As long as they have any problems within their homestays, there's learning difficulties, or if they got some homesick, they can always go to international student coordinator. They will work very closely with us and also with the agent and the family to deal with the student's problem, to make sure that the student has been taken very good care in the school. And for the English, we have the specialized English as a second language teacher in all the schools to provide additional support for international students. That we know that students may got quite good English, but while they first come to Australia, they still have a time to transit to the English speaking classroom. So they may have some difficulties while they transition to the normal classroom. So we have the teacher at the school to provide additional support, maybe after school or while other students are playing sports. Maybe the international student can choose to study English rather than playing the sport. And after they can settle in the classroom, then they do not need to have the additional English support. So it's quite flexible, and the teacher is always there to provide the support. And the last one would be the career advisor. In the last term of year 10, every student need to talk to the career advisor at the school. The career advisor will give them some advice about their future career plan. And also they will look at their current academic progress, and they will recommend what kind of the subjects you need to choose for your HSC and how you can prepare for your final exams. So the career advisor is very important for students when they're thinking about the university course and also their subject selection. Okay. So here is the subjects that we provide. For primary schools, every students are studying the same thing. That would be like English, math, PE, science, humanities, and creative arts. While in year 7 to 10, we have different subjects for every year. Besides of English, math, science, humanities, we will give students chance to try different things. For example, for year 7, maybe they're studying the creative arts in fashion design, and in their year 8, maybe they're studying the metal design or the woodwork. And in year 9, maybe they're studying Japanese as a second language, and maybe in year 10, they can choose to study Indonesia. It's the time for students to try their interest and know if they want to continue to study that subject for the future years. Because when they're turning into year 11, they need to choose their own subjects. Only English is compulsory, and the student can mix and match any other different subjects as they want. So that is why the career advice is very important, because the student need to think about the subject selection. So for example, a student can choose English because it's compulsory. And then if they're good at math, they can choose 2 math subjects. One is the most difficult one, extension 2, and the other is an intermediate one. Besides of this, they can also choose physics, for example, or chemistry. Or if they're interested in language, they can choose 1 language and 1 history or geography, or even they can choose legal studies, engineering studies, or business or economics. So it's very personalized, and the student can choose the subjects that they're really good at so that they can achieve a higher score when they're doing their exams. So in total, the student need to choose 5 subjects. And we are going to calculate the score of those 5 subjects, and then the student can use that score to apply for the university. So that is the subjects. Besides of the academic part, we also have a wide variety of extracurricular activities. We have music band, we have choirs, debating, community work, we have orchestra. So the students still have the chance to take part in different clubs and also nurture their interest while they're studying with us. Okay. So the last part about the study would be the English. As we all know, English might be the second language of the international students. So that's why we have this intensive English course organized by the Intensive English Center in our local schools. So we ask all the international students to start with us from the Intensive English Center. We have the bilingual school staff over there, and they will teach English in different subjects. So the students are still taking subjects like math or science or humanities, but they're learning the vocabulary, they're learning how to write an essay, they're learning how to do a report in that subject. So that would be a very important transition period and also the English language support to the international students. Usually, we package all the students with 20 weeks of the intensive English course. But if the student can show us some evidence about the good proficiency of English, we can waive the English course for them and they can get into the mainstream school directly. I will give you more details about that. But for the students that do not have a very good English, we really recommend them to start from an intensive English course because that would be very helpful. Okay, then here is the application process. Please submit the application through the online portal with us. And once we receive the application, we will do the assessments first. And once we finish the assessment, we will send it to the school and we will wait for the school to decide if they would like to accept the student. After that, we are going to issue the offer letter. Family need to accept the offer, make the payment, and then we will issue the COE or the CAW if it is applicable. And then the family can apply for the student visa. Once you got the student visa granted, please let us know so we can change the student status to ready to enroll. And once the student come to Australia, they need to call the school, make an interview, and then they can finally enroll in the school. Okay, and then is the application eligibility requirement. Firstly, we're going to look at the student's age. We have a guideline for each year level, the age for each year level. So for example, for year 9, the student need to be between 14 to 15 years old. And for year 11, it will be 16 to 17 years old. If the student is too young or too old for that year level, the school principal may not accept the student. However, it is case by case. So you can use the DHA requirement as the minimum requirement. However, for each case, it will be decided by the school principal. Okay. And also for the IEC, for the Intensive English Center, no student can be over 18 years old. Okay, so that would be the minimum requirement for the age. And the second one is the academic requirement. We're looking at 2 years, most recent 2-year school report. And we're looking at 5 main subjects. If they have a good passing grade, for example, if the passing grade is 60%, we're looking at 65% in at least 5 main subjects like English, math, science, history, or geography. So that is the academic requirement. And then is the English requirement for waiving the Intensive English Center. So the standard process would be 20 weeks of intensive English course for all the international students. However, if they can show us the evidence about studying in a fully taught in English international school for at least 2 years, or if they can show a 5.0 IELTS for year 7 to 10, 5.5 for year 11, and no more than one band is 0.5 lower than the required score, the do not need to go to the intensive English center. They can come directly into the mainstream school. But if the student doesn't have any of that, it's fine. They just need to study English first. Okay, so that is the English requirement. And the last one, but it is the most important one, is the accommodation and the welfare options. If the student is applying for kindergarten to year 4, they must live with a parent. If they're applying for year 5 to year 8, they can live with a direct relative. For these two options, we're not going to issue CAW because the family is going to apply for the guardian visa. However, if the student is studying in year 9 and above with us, they can live with a distant relative or a close family friend, or they can ask us to arrange a homestay family for them. Okay. And here is the requirement about a homestay nominated by the parent, which would be a distant relative or family friend. The person must be over 25 years old to be a carer. They can be a distant relative or close family friend, but we will ask for the evidence to show the long-term relationship. And also the person need to have a valid residence details. They cannot be on a student visa. They cannot be on a bridging visa. And also they need to have a suitable family environment and also a separate single room for the students. Okay, so that is quite important to be a student's carer while they're studying with us. Okay. And then there are some very useful tools for you to find a suitable school for the families. The first one is our capacity list. We send out the capacity list to Yes Education every term. So please refer to that capacity list because not all the schools in New South Wales can accept international students, and not all the schools there have the capacity for the certain year level. So it's very important to check on that list. And also, if the student is going to live with the relevant relatives or live with a family friend, it's very important if you can check the address first, because sometimes we will allocate the student in the catchment area or around the catchment area. So you can also use the School Finder website to check on the address or check on the catchment area. Okay. And then it's about pre-arrival support. We have the pre-arrival webinar every term, and we're going to send the notification in the email to all the new commencers. So everyone, please recommend the new commencing student and family to attend that webinar, and they are free to ask any questions so they can get a better prepared to come to Australia. Okay. And then we have different teams. I am the marketing team, so I'm the one who provide the training, who answer your general inquiries. And once you launch the application, you need to contact the admissions team and the case officer to deal with the application. And after the student enrolled, it will be school support team to provide you with the after school support. Okay, so that will be all the information about about us. And then I'm going to show you how to look at our capacity list. So for example, this is our capacity list that is most updated one. And in this list, these are all the schools. These are all the schools that currently have capacity. So as you can see,
Sylvia, we still see the PPT, the thank you slide.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not changing.
Let me check on that. Okay. How about now?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
changing now.
Okay, thank you. So on this capacity list, you have the school name, you have the region, and also you have the capacity for each year. And also you can filter it. For example, you're looking at 2027 term 2 in year 11, for example. So you can filter the one that you need, and then it will show you all the schools that have capacity for year 11 in 2027. And also we have some notes for that school. For example, the school may say they must have a confirmed address in catchment area at time of application. That means if they want to apply for this school, they need to have an address when they apply with us. Without address, we cannot allocate the student in that school. Okay. However, most of the school will say must have a confirmed address in catchment area. It doesn't mean that you need to have the address now. It just means when the student come to Australia, they need to live in the catchment area, but they do not need to provide the address right now. For example, if the student is living with a parent, when the parent comes to Australia, they can rent a place around the catchment area. Or if the student is going to live in a homestay, we need to find a homestay in the catchment area for the students. Okay? And for some school, it will say no homestay available or limited homestay available. Or they will say there's no ELD support. So you need to pay attention to that and see if cater for the family's interest, and then you can recommend a suitable school for the student. And then you can go to the school website and also the school's Facebook page to check on the school's subjects, extracurricular activities, or just get a idea about the school's vibe, and the student can choose which one they would like to go to. And the last one would be our fees. If you go to our website, you can see there is a fees section there, and it will show you all the fees that we currently charge. There is a $300 application fee, and for different year level, the tuition fee is different. And also there is a homestay fee here, $520 per week. And if the student is living with the parent-nominated family, they need to pay a $40 monitoring fee every week. So you can find everything about the fees in our website. And also we have the application cutoff date in the website as well. If you go to ISP, it will show you the application deadline here. So for example, if you're applying for term 3 this year, the application deadline is 19th of April. As you can see, for term 2, we already closed the application. So the closest intake would be the term 3, and you need to load the application as soon as possible because we're closing in April. Okay, so that will be all for today's training. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Okay, thank you for the explanation, Sylvia. We do have some question already in our Q&A box.
Yes.
The first one, it might be not about Indonesian student,
Yeah.
but in Indonesia, we do have some of like the foreigner student from South Asia. And so the question is, are there any special requirements for South Asian student due to the level 3 visa condition right now?
We will do the GS assessment. Like
So
for
it will be like case by case.
yes, case by case. We might need to do the GS assessment. If the student got a visa refusal in the recent 1 year, please do not we will not accept the application. But after 1 year, we might give it a chance, but we need to go through the GS assessment. And also for the high risk countries, we will ask for the financial document. We're going to look at the tax, the source of the income, and not only the deposit in the bank.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then will there be a interview with the parents of the student for the GS assessment? Or is it just from the documents that we submitted?
Sorry? I didn't.
During the GS assessment, will the parents of the student will need to do interview with New South Wales Government School?
For now, as far as I know, we do not do any interview about the GS, but we will have a GS assessment form for the parents to fill in, and also we will ask for the evidence about the financial. That would be the most part of the GS, but we will also ask the agent, like if you have done the pre-screening, and also if the family they are aware of the course, the study, and the reason why they choose to study, because we do not ask for the interview, but the DHA they might do. So
Ah,
they will ask the questions like why you choose to study in Australia. Did you compare with US or the UK? And why you choose to study in Australia? And do you know which school your kid is going to? Do you know which subjects your kid is going to study? And also, do you know about the fees and the living costs? DHA may ask all those questions. We might not ask, but it
mm,
is the family's own risk if they can answer the interview arranged by DHA properly
I
and
see.
if they can get a visa granted. We got many of the applicants, they received interview from the DHA and maybe they didn't do that well, so they get a visa refused.
Okay, I see. I think it
Mhm.
will be related to the latest question. May I know what question the government usually asks in interview section when students arrive in Australia?
The interview about the enrollment usually is quite straightforward. It's nothing about the admissions or the entry. It's more about the school to know about the student and know about the family. For example, they will ask, could you please introduce yourself a little bit and what is your favorite subjects? Do you have any talent or do you like music? Something like that. And also they will ask the family or the homestay or the homestay family about the address. Like, can you show me your address to see if they are living in the catchment area? So it's more about the enrollment process.
I see.
Yeah, so don't worry about that one. There won't be any admissions. Only one thing, if the student go to school and the principal find out the student cannot say a completed sentence, that might have some problem because the
Ah,
school teacher may think the student is not ready for learning in the school. But overall, if they can do the conversation and and everything is all right, that should be okay. It's more about knowing the students. And if the student is living in the homestay family will need to take the student for that interview. If the student is living with the parent need to take the student for that interview. So it's the responsibility of the carer. And also they need to call the school to make the appointment.
I see. I see. Okay. And then another question, how much is the estimated tuition fee? I think you already
Yeah.
described it earlier.
Yeah, you can always go to the website because we change the fees maybe every year. And in total, if we're adding up the tuition fee with the accommodation fee, I would suggest that would be about 40,000 Australian dollars every year if the student is living in the homestay.
Okay, so that's the tuition fee plus the homestay fee.
Yeah, around 40,000.
Mm.
And for within that fee, actually it covers 3 meals a day, it covers everything in the school, it covers nearly all the life essential within that expense.
Okay. And then the next question we have here, how about the client now is year 10 in Indonesia, but she didn't finish the year 10 yet. Can she join the beginning terms too for year 11 this year? I don't think so because it's like jumping level, right?
Yeah, but we need to think about two things. The first one, for term two this year, the application is already closed. Term two is April, and we have already closed the application because there won't be enough time for the family to go through the processing for us, our processing, and also the visa, right? The second thing, if you're thinking about term two for year 11, I would ask you the question about the English. Does the student need English? Does the student have IELTS? If yes, then the student can apply for term 2 in year 11 directly. But if not, the student cannot go to year 2 directly. The student need to study English with us first. So that would be my second question. So if the student doesn't have any English, like IELTS, or didn't study in the international school, which means the student need to study 20 weeks of English with us before year 11. So that means the study plan would be changed to term 3 this year with 20 weeks of English, and then term 1 next year in year 11. Does it make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So for saying that, for term 3 in this year, I would suggest the family to think about and then launch the application as soon as possible, because the deadline is April. And then the student can come to study English from July, and then after 2 terms, the student can get into year 11.
Nice.
Okay. If the student have IELTS 5.5 and the lowest band and only one band is 5.0, then the student can get a direct entry into year 11. So if the family doesn't want the student to come that soon, they can apply for term 1, year 11 next year. However, if they want the student to have more time to prepare for year 11, they can still apply for example, July intake for year 10 this year to give the student half year more to get used to the education system. So it's quite flexible. It really depends on the family plan, the student study plan, and also the budget. I know that many family, they will think about the budget. Like if you're coming for years 10, you're paying 2.5 years. If you are coming for year 11, you're paying for 2 years. So I know that the family will think about many different factors, but they need to combine all the factors and then to make the decision when to apply and which year level to apply for.
Okay, noted. Thank you for the answer. For the one who submit the question, if you have any follow-up question, please do not hesitate to type your question again in the Q&A box. Okay, and the next one, we have a question about the entry requirements, continuing. So student only needs to submit their academic records and IELTS, right? Is there any internal test that student needs to take?
There is no internal test. We only look at the student's latest 2-year school report. IELTS is not compulsory either. Like I mentioned before, the student do not need to have an IELTS. They can start with the intensive English course with us for 20 weeks. However, if they do have the IELTS, and if they do meet our requirement, that's good, that's better. We can put the student directly into the mainstream school.
Okay, I think that's clear enough. So the IELTS is not compulsory, but if they have it, it's good. And then if they are not from international school, then they can do the 20 weeks English class.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen again here. So as you can see, the standard option is 20 weeks of intensive English course before the mainstream school, right? However, we have 2 options to waive the intensive English course. If the student have been studying in the international school for at least 2 years, they do not need to go to the intensive English course. They can come to the mainstream school directly. Or if they can have 5.5 for year 11, if they're applying for year 11. If they're applying for year 7 to 10, we only look at 5.0, and they can only have one band, which is 0.5 lower than the requirement score. And then they also do not need to go to the intensive English course. So this is the standard one. So that's why we do not need the student to have any IELTS. They can start this English course with us. But if they do have either of these, and then they do not need to go to intensive English course.
Okay, I see. And this is a follow-up question. If she has the IELTS 5.5, she can join year 11. I think
No,
that's yes.
no, this
But
year term two
but
already.
for the term 2 cannot, right?
Year 11 must from year term 1 or term 2.
Ah,
No later than term 2.
so for now cannot apply, right? Because it's already
No.
closed.
Well, I'm going to share the screen again here. So as you can see,
Mhm.
primary and junior secondary can enroll from term 1 or term 2. So if the student is applying for kindergarten to year 10, they can apply for term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4. However, if they're going to year 11, they must enroll in term 1 or beginning of term 2.
Okay.
Anytime later than this, we cannot accept because HSC, the high school certificate, is full 2-year program from year 11 to year 12. If the student come by term 3, for example, of year 11, it's very, very challenging for the student to catch up with the study, and they might not get a very good score because they have not enough time to complete all the credit. They won't graduate from the high school. So the very, very latest time would be beginning of term 2, which is April, but we have already closed the application.
Okay, so we can say that it's too late for this student to join.
Too late for this year, for year 11. See, term 2, 2026, it's 18th of January. It's already passed. Application is already closed. So if this student, if she has IELTS 5.5, yes, she might can enroll in year 11 directly, but we need to look at the age band, okay? She can only has one band, which is 5.0. If, for example, if she has two band, for example, listening or writing, is 5.0, she cannot get the direct entry. Does it make sense?
Okay.
Like for IELTS, they have listening, speaking, writing, reading, right? They can only have one, which is 5.0. All the other three need to be 5.5. If she has two band in 5.0, she cannot get the direct entry. Okay, let's say the student got overall 5.5 and each band is also 5.5. Yes, she can come directly into year 11. However, no chance for term 2, which means either she can apply for year 10, term 3, year 10 this year, or she can join us in year 11 from next year. Does it make sense? Is it clear? Okay, so because for year 10, they can jump in any term. They can come in term 3. And now they can still have time to apply for term 3. So for this student, if the family want, they can apply for term 3 of year 10 this year. And they still have time for visa and for application. But if they don't want to rush, or they don't want to start from year 10, they just want to study 2 years with us, they can apply for term 1, 2027 for year 11. Yeah? Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Because I think the student is still in year 10. So if she is applying for year 11 for next year, I think that's still quite reasonable. If the student is already in year 11, I would say we are not the best option for the student. Yeah, because the student would be too old for year 11.
Okay.
Yeah, but the student is still in year 10, so I think still it's a quite good study plan for the student to join us from term 3 in year 10 this year, or wait for next year, start from term 1 in year 11. Yeah, and if the student doesn't have IELTS 5.5 or doesn't have each band, which is higher than 5.0, she can also apply for term 3 this year, but study in the English center.
Okay.
Yeah. Make sense? So she
Yeah.
she can apply for term 3, studying English Center, English intensive English course with us for half of the year, and then she can also join year 11 from next year. So it really depends on the student's age, student's English, and also the timeline.
Okay, noted.
Yeah. I
Okay.
hope that answered the question.
Yeah, I think it's already answered all the question.
Yeah.
And the other, if you have any other question, please do not hesitate to submit it in the Q&A box. We do still have 7 more minutes in the session. Okay, so there is the gap between year 10 in Indonesia and year 11 in Australia. If she
Yeah.
has the IELTS 5.5, because year 10 in Indonesia will finish in July,
Yeah.
and the year 11 in New South Wales will start in January. Is it still okay? Because there will be like 6 month no study period.
So there are two options. The student can apply for July year 10. So once the student finish in Indonesia, she can come to study in Australia from year 10 or from term 4. Or if they don't want to rush, for example, if the Indonesia just finished in July and we start in July, that would be too rush. Maybe they can apply for term 4 in year 10. Okay. But if the student do not want to come in this year, they do not want to study in year 10 at all, they just want to study with us in year 11, then the student need to maintain the enrollment in Indonesia. There cannot be any gap. The student need to maintain their study in a mainstream school. I know that some parent may say, can we withdraw from the mainstream school and then we take part in some kind of English course in Indonesia? No, we cannot accept any gap like that. So for all the other cases, we know that sometimes the student get the offer quite early or they got a COE, but they cannot withdraw from the mainstream school. We want the student to keep enrolling in the mainstream school in their home country until they come to Australia, because we don't know whether they're going to get a visa. If they cannot get a visa, what are they gonna do? Right? So for this student, either come earlier to start from year 10 or keep studying in the current school and then come next year for year 11.
Okay, noted. So no gap of study allowed.
No gap and no study English, no gap. Yeah, it need to be the mainstream school.
Okay, noted. Thank you. And then the next question. If a student nominates a relative as a carer, does the relative needs to have a student visa? I think you said that earlier for New South Wales Government School or for student who wants to study in government school, the carer are not in student visa and
Yeah.
cannot in student visa, right?
You're right. Doesn't matter if it is a distant relative or it is a direct relative, the carer cannot on a student visa. For example, they have a sibling studying in the university and they're asking, oh, can the older brother be the carer of the younger brother, for example? No, because we think the responsibility of the student visa holder is to study, not to take care of another under 18 students. So in any circumstances, we will not allow a student visa holder to be the carer. They can be on a temporary residence or a permanent residence, but the duration need to be long enough to cover the student study period.
Okay. But what if the case the student have a relative, a couple that stay in Australia,
Yeah.
but one of these couple are under student visa, so the other one is under student dependent visa.
No.
Still no.
Same.
Same.
It's same. Yeah. And also the family is only nominate one person as the carer. So for example, the student visa holder is the student's relative. So it is a no. And or if the dependent, I think the student visa's dependent also has some kind of condition that they need to support the one in for the student visa, I think. I don't think we have any case like that because as a relative, they need to be over 25 years old, right? Or 21 years old as a direct relative. So I don't think we have any cases like a student visa dependent to be the carer, but I think it would be a no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe you can try, but I don't think so.
Mhm. But for the student from year 9 and above,
Yeah.
if they stay in homestay, the guardian can be from the school, right?
Yeah,
Doesn't
if
need to
if
have
they're
any.
living in the homestay family is their carer, so they don't need to worry about that. They just let us know that they want to live in the homestay, and then we will arrange the homestay for them.
Mhm. So for the homestay arranged by the New South Wales Government School, they don't need to nominate any guardian, right?
They don't need to nominate anyone, but we work with 3 homestay providers, and the homestay providers will find their homestay for the students.
Mhm. Okay, I think that's clear. Okay, is there any more question from our attendee? Okay, how much for the homestay fee? I think the information already in the website. I think it's
Yeah,
around 500 something per week.
yeah.
Already included the meals 3 times a day, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's $520 per week and 3 meals a day. And we do have a 3,500 tuition fee discount if they're studying in 2026 for homestay.
Ah, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, I think we don't have any more questions from our attendees. But in case you have student cases or future inquiry, do not hesitate to contact Yes Education team. And in case your student and the parents want to have online consultation with New South Wales Government School, Yes Education team can also assist you to arrange the online consultation session. Okay, I think I heard that Juan will come to Indonesia around mid-year, right?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
So if you have any student when Juan is coming to Indonesia, you can bring them to meet
Yeah.
with Juan to have the one-on-one consultation also.
Yeah.
We will
Yeah, that would
update
be
you
a
all.
very good opportunity. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Sylvia, for your time and the explanation. Hopefully, we can get more students for New South Wales Government School. We already got more application for New South Wales Government School since last year. Hopefully, it can get picked up for this year too.
Thank you. Thanks for arranging this. And I will send you an email with the slides and also all the information that you might need. Please feel free to share with your partners when needed. And I'm always here to support you. So looking forward to receiving more students from you.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye-bye.